Last year you made the announcement that you are an MP who happens to be gay. How significant a step was that for you?
That was a step that I had hoped to be able to take for some time. It wasn't an easy decision to make, as you can appreciate, either personally or politically. But looking back on it, I think it was the right thing to do. I feel it was a liberating thing for me personally, but more importantly, I think what it helped to do is to educate people and perhaps to give other people who happen to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, a little more sense of confidence and courage, particularly because of the fact that after having done that, I was reelected in a community which is not you know, sort of known for its gay population, Burnaby and the East End of Vancouver. I don't think anyone could suggest that it was Vancouver Centre, for example. And I was reelected with the largest majority I've ever won with. And I think that sends out a message of acceptance and understanding that I think is really encouraging in this society.
How long did the process take, Svend, after you had decided that you would go public?
It took me quite a long time because I felt that it was something that I really had to do right. If I did it in a way that people didn't understand, or if I did it in a way that perhaps was not clear, then it would be counterproductive, because I had to do it and I had to communicate the reason for doing it, and I had to be reelected. If any of those didn't work out, then I would have felt that I was betraying the community that I was speaking on behalf of, and I was very much aware of that fact. I mean, if I blew it, to put it bluntly, if I blew it, it would not just reflect on me, but it would reflect on the entire community of the entire gay community. And so it was something that I did plan with great care. I mean, what I tried to do was to establish a reputation in my community as a hard-working and effective member of Parliament, and similarly at the national level to hopefully establish a reputation as someone that wouldn't be in any way seen to be a single-issue politician. And I don't think anyone can accuse me of that, having looked at the range of issues that I've spoken out on. And then with the security of that work at the local and national level behind me, I felt that I was in a position to do that. I also personally felt strong enough to do it, and I had the support of my partner at the time and my family, and that made a big difference as well.
You say that you had established yourself first. Do you think gay men and lesbians are faced with that situation and having to prove themselves first as individuals and then become public about their sexual orientation if that is necessary?
I think that the reality is that in today's society that it is very much easier for a person who is gay, who is lesbian, to come out if they have established a base of understanding and trust with the person that they're coming out to. For example, if you're working with people, it's a lot easier to come out after having gotten to know them a bit. Your family, although some people find one of the most difficult things of all to come out to their parents. But I think that, yeah, it is important generally to establish that relationship of trust beforehand.
The downside of it, I've no doubt had a lot of letters about how brave this step that you took was. What about the downside? Has there been much negativity coming in the form of letters or phone calls?
Oh, certainly. I've received endless letters which quote Leviticus and Numbers and various chapters of the Bible. I know them all by heart now, although I must say I find it kind of sad that people from the church community should be so selective in their reading of the Bible. Those that quote from Leviticus, for example, seem to ignore the passages in the Bible in which Paul speaks of the importance of slaves obeying their masters, or talks about how important it is that women be silent in the church, and speaks of the fact that the disabled are not to approach the altar of the Lord. Well, you know, that's a rather selective reading of the Bible. So certainly I've received some hate mail, if you will. It's also had a downside for me in personal terms, because inevitably that tends to be the lens through which people view me first, despite the fact that I've done, I hope, a fairly effective job as a Member of Parliament in many other areas. I think the first thing that people look at when they see me is that that's the gay Member of Parliament. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a price that one has to pay. Mm-hmm. And certainly, I think I've never felt stronger and more right about the decision than when I was back at my old high school, back at Burnaby North Senior Secondary, where I graduated 20 years ago. And I was up on the stage and I was presenting the diplomas to each of the graduating students, a couple hundred graduating students, just earlier this year, and shaking their hands and thinking to myself how it would have been impossible for that to happen for me 20 years ago. You know, a scared, kind of uncertain young graduate looking up on the stage and seeing that there was my Member of Parliament who had said, yeah, you know, here's where I'm at. And I think hopefully as a society we have an enormous debt to our young people. I mean, the level of attempted suicide, for example, among young lesbian and gays is staggering. The level of violence that affects the community is still far too high. Mm-hmm. So I think we've got to do a lot more in terms of education and awareness.